You can't? Commander, Malcolm briefed me on your plan to seize the weapon stockpile. Commander, I've received a transmission. It's heavily encoded, but it appears to be from Scorpio. She says only the gods can give us back full control of the Eternal Fleet. As to what that means, your guess is as good as mine.
Is that what I think it is?
One of Iocath's original creators. Looks like it's been dead for centuries.
Let's hope it stays that way.
Even all this time later, I can still feel the agony of its final moments. Something horrible happened here.
Thanks for the nightmare fodder. All right, buddy. Let's see what you know about these weapons.
What a magnificent world, even blemished by ruin.
And soon it will belong to the Empire. The apparatus is almost complete. Unfortunately, the fragmented data has caused a few minor setbacks.
I expect it to be fully operational within the hour. No excuses.
Yes, Empress.
Victory is almost upon us. Soon our enemies will lie in ruin, and glory will be restored to the Sith Empire.
Jack. I'd say that's enough firepower to give Asina a run for her money.
Download every last file. We need to know how to use these weapons and how to build more of them.
Give me 1 minute. That's odd. Some of these files have already been decrypted and translated into BASIC.
We might have Scorpio to thank.
If she's listening, I wouldn't mind the temperature getting bumped up a few degrees. No? Well, I can't blame a guy for trying. Huh. This place used to be the superweapons control room. Looks like our crispy friend here was the last one to use it. Over a millennia ago.
Search the records for any signs of what wiped them out.
Looks like Iokath's creators were fighting a civil war. One side built the weapon, but something went wrong. The superweapon's more dangerous than we thought. It wiped out all life on this planet.
The Sith Emperor consumed all life on Nathema and Ziost. Could he be behind this weapon?
That, or it's what drew him here in the first place. We may never know. According to this data, it was tested on 4 different planets before Iokath. All successful. Over 10 trillion lives gone. This isn't a weapon. It's the apocalypse.
If the Supreme Commander hears about this, he may try to seize the weapon and turn it against us.
My lips are sealed. There. I've downloaded Arsenal blueprints, fusion matrices, everything our army needs to gear up with the latest and greatest Iokath weaponry. Now, let's get out of here before that happens.
Commander, we've received your intel. I'm dispatching teams to secure the rest of the weaponry.
Meet me at Malcolm's base. It's about time we take the fight to the Empire.
I'll see you there. And I have something to discuss once you arrive. Lana out. Commander, we need to talk.
Time's short, Lana. What's on your mind?
I've been thinking. How did the Empire, the Republic, and the Eternal Alliance all find the superweapon within minutes of each other?
The timing's too perfect. It can't be a coincidence.
Exactly. We were acting on intel from an anonymous source. And it turns out so was the Republic.
What's your point?
I cross-referenced both sets of data and they're identical. I'm confident the Empire received the same intel. Whoever tipped us off wanted everyone to clash over the superweapon. They wanted to start a galactic war.
Who benefits from starting a war? Could it be Asina or Malcolm?
We can't rule anyone out. Other top suspects include the Shroud, Darth Jadas, a rogue agent inside the Republic's Strategic Information Service.
Let's not rule out Sith intelligence.
The point is there are too many suspects to count.
Find me a name.
I'm on it, Commander.
Commander, meet the Nova Strider. She's outfitted with the Iokath tech you recovered. Should be a worthy ride to help you lead our charge against the Empire.
I can think of no better way to face the tide of our enemies.
May it stand as strong as our alliance.
Incoming call.
Empress Asina, have you called to surrender?
On the contrary, Commander. While you were gallivanting across Iokath, my engineers discovered a back door into the superweapon. Once they've gained access, we will turn the weapon against you and win this war for the Empire.
If there was a back door into the superweapon, why am I only hearing about it now?
While you were fighting a battle, I was focused on winning the war.
This isn't a game, Asina. If you activate that weapon, thousands will die.
But I'll save millions of Imperials from the fury of the Eternal Fleet. Surely that's a cause worthy of sacrifice, Agent Beniko. Good day, Commander.
If we move quickly, we can stop Asina before she activates the superweapon.
The Walker is yours, Commander. Lead us to victory!
learn from you. Let's do this again
Commander,
sometime.
Agent Shan, you're just in time. From this seat, I will harness the power of Iokath's superweapon and lay waste to your eternal alliance.
The last time I saw that seat, it was occupied by a dead man. Are you sure you know what you're doing?
The schematics were a gift from a trusted ally. He assured me they were quite safe.
I've heard enough. Stand down, Empress.
Witness the last gasp of your pathetic alliance.
Messina, no!
It's beautiful. I see a radiant empire, infused with the Force, built by the molten gods. They're gracing me with the superweapon's power. It belongs to the Sith Empire.
That weapon killed an entire species for trying to harness its power. If you think you're in control, think again.
You are blind to the truth. No! The gates are closing!
The throne is rejecting your input. You've lost your hold on the superweapon.
No! I can still see it. I know what I must do. They are coming! Commander, you were right. I've awakened the gods. Nothing can stop them.
Who are these gods? What did you see when you activated the throne?
They are the Six. They showed me the end of all things. And it was beautiful.
I have to admit, I respected her. For a Sith. On the bright side, that power flux knocked out the superweapon's defenses. And killed the signal that put our ships in lockdown. The Eternal Fleet's back online.
It's about time.
Commander, I'm detecting massive power spikes at the superweapon facility.
Let me guess. That's bad.
More like catastrophic. The weapon core is charging and no one's at the controls. If you don't deactivate it soon, it may obliterate the entire planet.
How soon until the weapon fries Iokath?
We're talking minutes. You'll never make it in time.
Hold on. With the shields down, I can remotely slice into the mainframe from here. Maybe buy you enough time to manually kill the weapon at the source.
Do whatever it takes. In the meantime, tell our forces to take shelter. Be safe, both of you.
You too, Commander.
Eternal Fleet, move into position and charge all forward batteries. It's time to knock out a superweapon.
I'm here.
Theron, I've reached the superweapon facility. How do I shut it down?
You'll need to interface with the main controls. Look for a throne, take a seat, and hope for the best.
Am I crazy, or is this the third one I've seen today?
Well, you could start a collection. Time's running out. Hurry!
Where am I? Who are you?
I am Rage, Molten Fury, your god, and your destroyer.
You're just a machine, stranded on a dead planet and worshipped by a bunch of tin cans.
Darkness, lies. Show me your rage. Calm, peace, it denies fury, a sacrifice mediocre.
I didn't come here to be poked and prodded.
You had no choice. You were lured here. Blinded by duty, distracted by trust. You did not see the blade to your neck. The rage in your shadow, the traitor. You are betrayed.
I've given up everything to help the galaxy rebuild. Who would try to destroy me?
One marked by anger, pain, hope eroding. The betrayer lured you to Iokath, ignited war, sparked the engines of rage, envy, passion, hate, sorrow. The betrayer now offers you sacrifice pride, fuel for the 6 gods.
I'm not an offering. I'm your destroyer.
Rage.
Ships of the Eternal Fleet, open fire! Lana.
Don't worry, Commander. You're safe.
I found the super weapon. It was a giant droid.
I know. You've been talking in your sleep.
I almost had to stuff a sock in your mouth. Whatever that droid is, you knocked it out of commission with the Eternal Fleet. Now it's recharging and gearing up for a counterattack.
Which is why we must strike soon. Hesitate too long and the Titan may destroy us all.
Someone betrayed me. They lured me into that death trap and sabotaged the throne, just like they tricked all of us into fighting a war on Iokath.
The conspiracy cuts deeper than we imagined.
Sounds like an inside job, all right. Only a handful of people could get close enough to sabotage the throne.
Who could have done such a thing?
The Supreme Commander might be angry that I cut ties with the Republic. Maybe this is payback.
I wouldn't put it past him.
Why stop with Malcolm? If we're tallying suspects, we have to consider Aiko, Vizsla, Satele, and the entire Alliance army.
Not to mention Lana. And hell, even me.
Whoever it is, I want them rooted out, quickly.
There's only one solution. You must monitor everyone.
Hold on, Minister of Paranoia. You can't invade everyone's privacy to sniff out a single rat.
I can't, but the Commander can. Give the order and I'll begin surveillance of everyone, even Theron and myself. It's the only way to flush out the traitor.
I won't let one traitor turn me against my followers. They've earned my trust.
I'm glad someone hasn't lost their mind.
Trust is a risk, now more than ever.
Commander, I knew you'd pull through, and back in fighting shape no less. I hope you're ready to return to the front lines.
Their Empress is dead. Are the Imperials really refusing to surrender?
Afraid so. The imps are dug in and armed to the teeth. Now that Asena's gone, they're more desperate than ever for control of Iokath.
They're still desperate to claim the superweapon. If we take it first, they'll have no choice but to surrender.
Then that's where we set our sights. But we can't stop there. We need to keep hammering the Empire. Day by day, hour by hour. Only then will we win this war. Now, if you'll excuse me, the battlefield's calling my name. I'll see you on the front lines.
We'll track his movements, see what he's hiding.
I'll promise you right now, whoever this traitor is, we will find them.
And we'll make them pay.
I know you will. While you start searching, I'm going to win the war they started.
For the Eternal Alliance.
May the Force serve us all.